Good morning. I'm Mark Jorgensen. This is Anza Borrego Explained. We tell you where to go. It's Tuesday, February 26th. It's in the morning, and we are at Henderson Canyon Road, about 1/2 to 3/4 of a mile east of Borrego Valley Road. This is an area that traditionally is the hot spot for wildflowers in spring in Borrego Valley. It's also an area that can handle the most crowds. There's ample parking on both shoulders of the road for about a mile. So literally hundreds of cars could park here. It's an excellent place if you want a nice drive-by. We've picked a spot right here that started blooming early out here on Henderson Canyon Road. A lot of water. Much of it was recently flooded by Coyote Creek. Coming down behind me here, about a week, 10 days ago, it flooded in a lot of the eastern portions of Henderson. As you can see, the desert sunflower is already 3 feet tall. Ample and very healthy plants of the dune primrose. And we're going to walk along here about 200 feet, and we're going to show you an area that's not blooming yet. And this is a forecast for you that in about a week to 2 weeks from now, this entire Henderson Canyon Road, both sides of it, east of Borrego Valley Road, between Borrego Valley Road and Peg Leg, is going to really be busting out. There are just millions of native wildflowers germinated here, ready to go. They've been kind of waiting through the cooler weather and these intermittent rains that we've had. Lots of rain, almost 4 inches in the last month. And this place is going to be superb in early March. We're going to walk along here. We'll look at what is still to come. Show you that just green fields right now. But this will give you an idea of the setup that's out here. Nature has provided us. You'll also see butterflies cruising in and out of the scene. These are mostly painted ladies, and they are working over pollinating a lot of these flowers right now. There are native bees and honeybees, and of course at night the white-lined sphinx moth, which will be giving us probably a large population of caterpillars in the next week or two. So we're going to walk along. We'll move on down toward the west a little bit. And we're walking through just tons of dune primrose. And this little low-lying plant with the little hand-like leaves is called white mallow. And I've never seen it so thick out here. Lots of 6-inch desert sunflower plants, many of them with buds on them. We're also going to be seeing more and more sand verbena out here. One thing that you'll see in the scene here are these plants left over from 2 years ago. These are the dune primrose, which when they get really big and bloom, turn to seed, then their branches tend to draw up and they bring the seed pods up off the ground. They end up leaving us with what's been called the desert bird cage. So these are from 2017, the super bloom of 2 years ago. And this is what is still to come. This is just a tremendous bed, probably 1,000 acres right here of germinated native plants that have come up. They actually started about 5 or 6 weeks ago. And in our work out here to remove Sahara mustard, we've been noticing just the total dominance of the natives. The park volunteers have been working on mustard eradication out here for several seasons, and it's really having a great payoff. I think for every mustard I've pulled, I would estimate there are 1,000 natives that have come up around it. So that mustard has been pushed back by volunteer efforts. We have the white mallow coming up here, desert sunflower, dune primrose. We have one of the best years that I've ever seen for the spectacle pod. I looked it up in the book yesterday just to see how big it gets, and the book says up to 12 inches. But as you saw in yesterday's YouTubes in Coyote Canyon, these plants are up 1.5 feet, almost 2 feet tall. So here's what's to come. So we're estimating early March, probably all the way, maybe through the month of March, depending on the weather. This week we're supposed to get up into the upper 70s, maybe 80 degrees. Possibility of rain on Saturday and Sunday again. And what that does is the warmth is going to really push these things to start growing more and blooming. And then the rain's going to just give them that extra oomph that they need to get bigger and last longer. So an exceptional year. Can predict that this entire field here is really going to turn to color. Yellows, whites, purple sand verbenas. We'll come back to this exact spot in 10 days or 2 weeks, and you can compare what we see today in these green fields with what is going to come when these wildflowers peak out. So we've got a lot of new subscribers. We thank you for joining us on YouTube. Thank you for subscribing. Pass it on. Our goal here is to inform massive number of people throughout Southern California to come on out, but also to avoid the crowds and come during the week. Kind of be self-contained. Once it gets real busy out here, the services in Borrego Springs are more than happy to have you come in and buy supplies and water and lunches. But if it gets, just way too crowded, come on out here. Pick up a wildflower brochure at the Anza Borrego Foundation store on your way out, or go to their information trailer at the end of DeGiorgio Road, the north end, right where the pavement turns into Coyote Canyon Road, and they'll be selling wildflower brochures there. It's a lot of fun. Bring your brochure out here and your camera and some water and a picnic. Have a great time. Thanks for joining us on Anza Borrego Explained.